Hi everyone, happy Saturday. I'm Claudia Katarucci, and as most of you know me, I'm a Washington, D.C. psychotherapist, and I'm also the creator, founder, teacher of dynamic meditation, Claudia Katarucci style. And today I haven't been doing videos for a while, but today I really felt called to do a video on just doing some overviews. This video is mostly about doing the overview of what's happened in 2020 from my vantage point, from my feeling point, from my heart point, and just talking about some of the symptoms of 2020. And I'd like to talk about what's coming up in 2021, or what I invite you and propose that we as a community, as a fellowship, as a tribe, as a people, as a humanity, join in doing together. Okay? So, as most of you know me, on my website I talk about being a partner. I like to partner people. I like to be partnered. I like to do things together, not only with the mind, but with the heart. And concretely, I like to do things together. And so part of today is us doing this overview together, but also moving into 2021 together. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about 2020. And I do have my notes. Most of you know me as like I'm always hearing things, so I write them down as soon as I hear them. Okay. So 2020, what a beautiful number, right? It's so complete. 2020 started off with fear. And one of the ways that I like to work is to look at what's happening out there with whole groups of people, with the collective, and apply it to what's in here for the individual. And then what happens with the individual, I like to apply to the collective. Because, in the law of one, or in believing that we are one, all of that moves together. And so I will go in and out of talking to you from my therapist point of view, from my dynamic meditation point of view, which is mostly spiritual, but also from my tools point of view, which is also what dynamic meditation is about, is having tools to navigate who we are in the public and who we are in the private. Okay, so 2020 began with fear of COVID, especially, right? The whole world went on lockdown. And with any change, and this is going to come up, with any change, fear comes up. Even if it's change for the better. Certainly if it's change for the worse, or what we think will be the worst. But any time change, and change is part of our human experience. And so we fear. That's what comes up, is fear. Okay? And this will be important for you, individual, in your own life journey of how we work through fear. Okay? And expansion always has fear. 2020 started out with fear. And we have two options when we're afraid. We can either stay and accumulate more fear, and some of us do that. Some of us stay stuck in our fear of the past, our fear of being hurt, our fear of something new. Okay, we have the choice of staying stuck in it, or we have the choice of seeking what to do with it, right? Most of you who are watching these are seekers. We seek. What do I do with this fear? Okay? And so part of what we talk about in therapy or in dynamic meditation is we begin to clean up, which is what started to happen during COVID. With fear driving us, we all ran to stock our kitchens, to as always fear serves us, is how to survive. How am I going to survive this fear? Okay. But as the summer came along and we adapted and we bought masks and we bought hand sanitizers as a collective, and we began to understand this and we began to follow the rules, right? That's what happens when we're afraid, right? Something amazing also happened, at least for the folks that I was talking to, and certainly for myself, which is a massive, massive introspection. And so if we look at it in meditational terms, right, it paused us. And if you're not used to pausing, if you're not used to going inside, that experience was quite disruptive, because everything that you knew stopped. Everything that you knew where to escape stopped. How to have fun stopped. And so literally and figuratively, we were all forced to go inside. Okay, if you've been meditating, if you've been in therapy, if you've been doing internal work, this was not a huge shift, because you knew how to keep tracking yourself as you went inside, dealing with the outside. Okay. So for most of us, this was a time of great introspection, of asking ourselves questions if we weren't stuck just in the fear part of it, okay? And so there was a lot of clarifying, cleaning up. I like to call it decluttering our emotional closets. And most of you who are watching this, we did a lot of that. A lot of decluttering and a lot of looking at the things that did not serve us anymore, right? Just really looking at the parts of our childhoods and our past that did not serve us anymore. And that can be a painful process for sure. It could also be quite an invigorating process. And so 2020 brought about a bunch of closures and endings and possibilities, like, wow, maybe I can work from home. Maybe I'm more of an introvert than I thought. Maybe this relationship isn't working for me anymore. Maybe I want to get back into the things I used to like as a child. So much happened in 2020 if folks allowed it to happen, okay? And most of it was motivated by introspection and going inside. So 2020, for you, who I'm speaking to, was a year of deeply going inside and of seeing that even in the midst of crisis, some of you, most of you, did well. Okay? All right. For those of you, for those of us who were also empaths, this was a year of great understanding, our relationship to the narcissists in our past, the empath-narcissist relationship in general. We really understood it, and we really understood that for so many years, because it is natural, organic, and characteristic of the empath to collaborate, to help, to support, to be creative, to want to connect and join people, right? That it makes perfect sense that the narcissist and the empath come together quite naturally. The narcissist is looking for someone who will do all of that for them, okay? And will use pity, will use shame, will use fear, will use dominance, will use superiority in order to get that supply, what they call the narcissistic supply from the empath. And the empath, in their collaborative, supportive, joining, for the dysfunctional empath, codependent nature will provide this for the narcissist. So for most of you who I've worked with who are empaths, we really understood that relationship this year. So it was one of the gains, understood it and saw it in our life. Okay, we really understood it. And we understood the dysfunction in the power relationship, how the narcissist uses power while the empath just works till they're bone dry. Okay. What also happened in 2020 for empaths was to understood their prowess. To understand that the empath has all sorts of abilities, skills, and gifts. As I always say, who doesn't want an empath on their team, right? Because the empath will work hard, will work for the collective, will join, will connect, tends to be super creative and intelligent, tends to have abilities to feel a room, to feel people, and therefore know how to connect things, connect concepts, but connect people as well. So the empath this year, and I invite you to continue to do this, right? Moved from a dysfunctional power dynamic, or you are moving because you're noticing, like everything in meditation, you've become the observer. And so you've noticed that there's a dysfunctional power dynamic where empathic supply is being used by the narcissist, okay? And you are now more ready to convert power into prowess, into standing tall, into using your gifts. Okay, now we'll see how that also showed up in the collective, right? The Black Lives Movement, for example, Black Lives Matter movement is all about this, is all about moving from a dysfunctional power dynamic that's existed for centuries, and so has narcissism, by the way, and abuse and darkness, and now moving it from power dysfunction into prowess, into emergence of gifts, of intellectual capacity, of amazing design. Okay, so we see that what's happening, what's getting stirred up in the individual, certainly how we've worked it, has also been happening out here. Now, check it out. So let's move into the collective from all that we've learned, right? So for the individual, decluttering, cleaning up, introspection, emotional decluttering, whether that be through yoga, meditation, therapy, all of these venues to do that has also been happening in the collective. Now, this year has been very frightening. And what we've seen, look at the media, what we've seen is all of, for example, these series on sexual predators or sex trade, right? All of that is coming to the surface, right? All of that icky, gooey, tarry, gross darkness is no longer hiding. We see it all over the place, sort of cult activity in the collective, all coming to the surface. Sex trade coming to the surface, right? The narcissism and abuse and power dominance in terms of the Black Lives Matters movement coming to the surface. Okay, we are seeing all sorts of what used to be very hidden racism coming to the surface. So what's happening in the individual, our past, our trauma, our emotional clutter coming to the surface massively, because most of you experience this as fast and constant coming to the surface. It was also happening for all of humanity. All of humanity. And we see it. Check out the shows. Check out everything that's on all of these documentaries, right? Of what was at the bottom of these incredibly damaging power dynamics coming to the surface. Okay? And so all of this is sifting and moving and creating, right? Creating something new in 2020. Okay, what we also see in 2020 in a very fast way, which is why there was so much upheaval, is that the old ways meeting the new ways. And it happened, and it's happening because it's still happening very quickly. The overlap is super quick. Okay. So I want to use the word overlap because that is what we're in. We're in overlap. So the way things were, and now that includes, by the way, it includes academics. It includes the way people have learned. It includes colleges and universities. Because there's so much access to education in other ways, and people are asking, I heard yesterday about radical unschooling, that people want to have more experiences rather than the way that we've done education in the past. And we see this. It's just starting to rumble. People don't want to pay as much anymore. More and more kids, especially after COVID, are really questioning this idea of going to college and the ways that they want to learn. So we're seeing that in overlap. We're seeing gender identity in overlap, right? So before it was very, very clear. There was man and woman, and now we've got a movement around gender, around sexuality, and it's meeting quickly. Now, by the way, there's some sun over here, so I'm going to lean a little closer. This has always happened. Evolution has always happened. The only thing is that it's moved at a slower pace. What's happened in 2020 is that it's moving quickly and it's coming together. And I really like to say that 2020 was the time that the earth said, basically we were put into timeout because Mama Earth had to reshift a bunch of things. Mama Earth being an organic entity just like us, right? She's had to really shift what's happening on the planet. Okay, our connection to the planet. Okay, connecting is one of the themes that's coming up. Okay, darkness coming up, decluttering coming up, movement, shifting, new ways, old ways, all of that. Fear in 2020, introspection, what I want, what I don't want, what I'm leaving, what I want to bring to me. Okay, so new ways of seeing relationships, right? So can you see this? Tons and tons of shifting, even for young people. Like, who are they? Who are they going to be? They are really, our generation is so different from the generation that's coming up. Okay, 2020. Okay, love it. I love it. But I understand that for some people this was not easy. It wasn't easy for me at all. I personally had new information about my past come up. A deeper layer of trauma came up for me that I had to really sift through on my own. But it provided me a lot of space for working with people as well. It really provided me with new ways of connecting with trauma. Okay, which is one of my areas of expertise. Trauma, anxiety, fear, anything on the fear spectrum is one of the areas that I feel like it's my jam. It's where mainly because I really allow for fear to come up, but I also believe that fear is what stops us from really, really living. And so we have to have tools to work with fear. We don't say no to fear, but we don't live in fear either. Okay, all right. Some of the symptoms of 2020: feeling stuck in the overlap, feeling quite confused, right? Do I go back to my old way of being? Some people really want to go back. What's the new way of being, right? All of us are asking that question. What's it going to look like now? Who am I going to be now? Who am I going to choose to be? Now that's happening for humanity, and it's happening for the individual. Okay, confusion, lots of confusion. I myself have just felt myself like, wow, sometimes I don't even know who to be as a parent because these kids are confused, right? Like, how are we moving forward into new systems with our own children? Okay, lots of confusion, lots of exhaustion. And so one of the things I want to say about December is rest. You're going to feel pretty exhausted. And why is it exhausting? It's because all of this is going on, right? And we're starting to move into a new year, into new light, and we feel the darkness is coming up, but we also feel that there's new light coming in, okay? So gentle. I'll talk about tools in a second. Overlap, confusion, exhaustion, grief. Look, I wrote grief 3 times. Grief. Tears. Childhood tears. Who you were as a child. Because so many of us, right, 2020 is about looking at the past and leaving it. And it's just not going to be the same. Things aren't going to be the same. So we grieve it. There's been many deaths. There have been massive physical deaths due to COVID. My heart. We grieve. We feel them. Deaths of the old ways. Grief. And in dynamic meditation, and certainly in the way I do therapy, we grieve, we cry, we wail. I say, rock back and forth, wail, grieve it out, but so that it'll move through our body and leave. Okay, so let's move into the body. Our bodies will feel differently. And so much of my work around trauma, I always insist we cannot do work with trauma as therapists, as teachers, as victims of trauma without being in the body. Now, when it comes to trauma, we don't want to be in the body. The body doesn't feel friendly to us, and yet the body is waiting for us to come home. Because we have so much anxiety and so much jitteriness, and we don't want to have some memories. We want to constantly leave the body, which in clinical psychology we call it dissociate from the body. So much of trauma work is, how do we lovingly come back to the body and repair, right, our memories, our fearful and traumatic experiences, and repair it to a calm body, to a calm central nervous system. That's not only happening to you here, it's happening there, in the collective. So our bodies right now feel differently. More aches, more headaches, just things are moving in our body. That's normal for what's happening. Because it's not just your mind and your heart that's responding to this. It's your body that's responding to this, okay? Some of you are more conscious of your bodies than ever before. Yes. And so come back to the body, always coming home to the self. And coming home to the self is coming home to the body. Okay? All right, let's keep going. This is going to be a long video because I'm summarizing all of this. Okay. Remember, In dynamic meditation, we use something called AGFLAP. Okay, that's apathy, grief, fear, lust, anger, and pride. Those being the major emotions that give us negative and heavy energies in our body. AGFLAP, apathy, fear, grief. No, apathy, grief, fear, lust, anger, and pride. Okay? Each feeling has a calibration, an energetic calibration. Okay? So all of these feelings are moving through our body, right? Especially in times of big change. Whether we're going through a divorce, whether we're going through a death, whether we're going through a collective death like right now. So we have all of these rippling energies going through our body. Okay, these are the symptoms, right? Overlap, confusion, exhaustion, grief, body, flappy stuff. Okay. Other symptoms that you might have experienced: depression, anxiety, right? Those are the normals. Those are the normals. Random stuff, especially right around now. You might have been having sort of really wacky dreams, like dreaming about people or circumstances or events or objects like homes that just seem very, very random. Okay. So this moves us into the spiritual realm a little bit, and certainly in psychology, it would be into the unconscious realm. It makes perfect sense. Dreams really, I like to call dreams like the state of the union that our unconscious is in. And so dreams really give us very, very powerful messages. And for those people who work with me know that I really, really work with dreams. And I love to work with dreams because the conscious mind and the ego mind is not putting a handbrake on maybe some of the unconscious feelings or unconscious messages that are coming up for us. So some of the symptomology of this year have been very powerful and maybe very unusual dreams. Okay, and so in the tools part of this video, I'm going to really ask you to write down your dreams. Write down your dreams. Other things that are random is right, maybe either waking up in the middle of the night often, or really feeling exhausted even if you slept all night. Now, doesn't it make sense though that our conscious world is getting stirred, but our unconscious, right, waves are moving through us? It makes sense. It's okay. It's normal. Okay, so let's move into the tools. The tools. I really want to give all of this to you. I want to normalize what's happening. Again, massive overlap. Massive overlap between the conscious and the unconscious. Okay. Tools, we need each other. Number one, we need guides, we need coaches, we need therapists, we need groups. We need each other to do all of this together. Period. We need communities, we need tribes. We just do. We need the spiritual. Okay, that's number one. Number two, tools. We need the breath. It's amazing that COVID was all about not having the breath. Black Lives Matter was all about not being able to breathe. When we're around abuse, we can't breathe. Right? A lot of asthma, you'll notice that children have been abused or who've had very terrifying or neglectful childhoods, have asthma, have allergies, inability to breathe. So take your breath seriously. I'm serious. Take your breath seriously. Breathe. Meditation is all about aligning mind, body, spirit with the breath. The breath. This is an ancient scripture. Meditation is all about coming to the breath. Trauma, right? We calm the central nervous system just biologically with the breath. Okay? When we work with the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system, right? They both meet at the point of breath. Take your breath seriously. In dynamic meditation, we talk about the arriving breath, the grounding breath, the observing breath, where we see what's going on inside of us. Take your breath seriously. That's a tool for phobias, for anxiety, for everything, for masturbation, for orgasm. Breath. Maybe 2020 was the year that we really valued the breath. Okay? Use it. That's a tool. Other tools, meditation. Now, I like saying that meditation is all about the sacred pause, right? We just pause for a second. And pausing gives us the ability to choose. And I have a ton of videos on that, and we can talk about that more. But meditation, and we've seen it, like I started dynamic meditation. It first came to me in 2009, and I sort of put it together in 2010. And it, meditation was around, but it was all sort of more Buddhist. And the way that I compiled this was, it's super spiritual for sure, but it was also for use as a tool in my clinical practice, but also just for everyone. I really wanted this to be for everyone, especially for busy people and for people with PTSD or ADD. Okay, because traditional meditations will not work. Okay, because dynamic meditation is all about retraining ourselves to accept the breath and accept what's going on in our body. Meditation is a tool. It's free. Okay, therapy. Therapy is a tool. Start decluttering. Declutter your past. Declutter your emotional life. Right? Marie Kondo. What do I love about 2020? Okay? Declutter with therapy, with groups, with 12-step groups. It doesn't matter. Start decluttering as we move into what's coming. Coming back to the body. Massage. Literally, massage some of those energies out. Dance. Because dance is all about freedom. It's all about sensuality. It's all about pairing. It's all about knowing how you move. Again, coming back. Yoga. I just found something called eccentrics as well, where you use the power of stretching, elongating. Again, so many. There's so many options. But the idea is coming back to the body, loving the body, mind, body, spirit. Okay? Tools. So in your day, you're going to say, what are the things I'm using to declutter my emotional self, to declutter my mind, and to declutter my body. Okay? Because we're having all of these symptoms, right, that I just described. Because the collective is having symptoms. Because Mama Earth is having symptoms. So my doing my part does it for everyone else as well. It does it for my home. And once my home feels peaceful, so does the world, right? Because it started here. Okay. Come back to the body, massage, meditate, breath, do it together. Let's commune. Let's come together. Okay. Other things that are working, beauty. But beauty as a meditation. Beauty in nature, beauty in art, beauty in makeup, it doesn't matter. Beauty in style, beauty in music, right? I always say that beauty for me is a meditation. That's why museums feel so regal, so beautiful. That's why music transports us. It feels beautiful. Puppies, beautiful. Beauty is of essence. It's an easy hack. Nature, beautiful. It's so important that we keep Mama Earth beautiful, right? Beautiful. These are some of the tools. Now, I didn't go into many specifics, but right, 2020 is all of this. We've got a bunch of symptoms going off, grief, dreams, blah, blah, blah. Tools. Okay, pulling it all together. All right, 2021, new earth. A lot of you have been hearing me talk about the old earth and the new earth. Old earth has a ton of gooiness, darkness, clutter, pollution clutter, emotional clutter, centuries, millennia of narcissist empath relationships, the Crusades, slavery, Protestants versus Catholics. I mean, divisiveness all over the globe, all over history was about war. And there was war because there wasn't enough. I'm following a teacher right now who I absolutely love. Her name is Amanda Flaker, and she talks a ton about living in the lack matrix and abundance matrix. And I'll do some more work around that. But basically, we have a history of living in lack. And when we live in lack, we live in war. When we live in lack, we live in war. Now, whether it's out there because people are fighting each other for resources, right? Using slaves so that we don't have to pay. So, I mean, it is all about abuse of power, and war. That's all old earth. You follow me? Now we're moving into new earth. And new earth requires collaboration. New earth requires that we come together. New earth requires helping the planet so that we don't go extinct. Whether it be through COVID, whether it be through pollution, whether it be through climate change. New earth requires something new. And in my case, as an empath, new earth requires collaboration and unity and oneness. This is my personal slant, but I really believe it. Sort of in the law of one. In dynamic, I teach a lot about I am you and you are me. Because I have a certain type of trauma doesn't mean I don't know trauma the way you know trauma. We know trauma. We all know trauma. Okay? And so New Earth is all about coming together. It's sex positivity, because we are shedding the trauma of sex trades, of rape, of sexual assault, of sexual abuse. We're shedding it. Okay, and we're moving into sex positivity, using our sexual organs as something beautiful and alive, right? My red tent gatherings are all about renewing ourselves around sex. Race positivity, being a mixture of people, a mixture of colors, a mixture of ethnicities. Yes. Right? That's New Earth. And the young ones, we see it much more. We see how mixed they are and how easy it is for them to come together because they have less trauma. Right? We come with a whole bunch of trauma. Gender positivity, gender mixture. New Earth has just will bring in appreciation of mixture. Okay? Sex positivity, race positivity, ethnicity positivity, gender positivity. Law of one, law of oneness. I am you, you are me. Okay. We're moving from 3D world to 5D world. I'm not going to get into that a lot today because I could do a whole hour. But basically, the 3D world is where we've been, old Earth, which is really focused on form and on matter. Okay? On matter, on concrete matter, versus 5D living, which is more about energetics, how I feel, how you feel, how the earth feels. It's focused on what's happening inside of us with intuition. So feelings are going to be a big deal, right? Decluttering our old feelings, new feelings, how we feel. So much is about following our passion versus what we're told to do. So sovereignty is going to be a big word too, is sort of focusing on what we want, what we feel. And that's part of the old way, new way with old generation, like imposing our beliefs on our children. And then we've got this whole group of people just saying, no, I want to do what feels good to me, right? So energetics, 5D, energetics, intuition, gifts of the spirit. And that's when we move into way higher energies and higher spirituality, right? Where people are able to channel, where there's mediums connecting to the spirit world, and how we just sense things that are in the unseen. 5D living and 5D earth is all about really being able to connect and again, collaborate with the unseen. And we can talk about that. But again, the new earth and old earth, the 3D and 5D is all about, is overlapping. This shift is overlapping. Okay. All right. So what I am, and I'm gonna do more videos, especially if you want them, about make a decision. In December of 2020, make a list of your decisions. Don't worry. Please don't worry. Please don't worry about how they're going to happen. Remember, we're moving into energetics. Just decide. Decide what types of relationships you want to be in. Decide what you want to do with your body. Decide how you want to eat. Decide how you want to do Thanksgiving. One of my tribe members, I guess, said keeping what worked during the pandemic. Keep it. What worked for you during the pandemic? Keep it. Decide. Right? So part of dealing with the overlap of what's happening between 2020 and 2021 is deciding. Please do not worry. Do not be anxious of how you're going to do it. If you're deciding to leave your job to start your business, if you're deciding to leave your relationship, if you're deciding where you want to be sexually, Decide. Decide that you're going to declutter. Make decisions, right? Here's my journal. Make a list. This is what I decide. This is what I learned from 2020, and this is what I'm deciding. Don't move into how you're going to get it done unless it feels easy and spontaneous and free. Fine. But right now, what I really want to give to you is to ask you, to invite you to decide, to make a decision. Okay? Decídete. Atrévete. Right? Dare to decide. Atrévete a decidir. Okay? Make a list. I am deciding. Okay? Remember, decisions can move. It's okay. No pressure. But just say, what am I deciding for 2020? It's not a New Year's resolution. It's a clarity. I'm deciding I want to feel like this. I'm deciding my day will look like this. Again, don't worry about how you're going to do it, about whether you can do it, about how hard it's going to be. No. Just say, this is what I decide. Okay? You'll see what starts to happen on its own. It's our indecision that keeps us in the overload. Okay. All right, let's keep going. Empaths, this is your time. Empaths, I'm calling you to action. My empath warriors, my powerful, move into your prowess, not your power, your prowess, your gifts. You are gifted empaths. And we have explored it all year. This is your time. This is your technology. Empaths, your technology is to feel what doesn't work, is to feel what works, is to feel others in a room. This is your technology, is to feel environments. This is your time, empaths. Emerge, stand strong, stand. Stand. Guide others. I don't care if you work in corporate America, if you work for a nonprofit, if you have your own business, if you're a mommy at home, empaths, and we can talk about that. Hit me up, write something in here if you want to learn more about who you are as an empath and how you can use it. But we are about to move in to massive, massive movement. Empaths, these are your time. Okay, the narcissist has to go. Now, whether that's collectively, I mean, in many ways, politically, the narcissist has to go. Empaths, this is your moment. This is your time. Okay, let's talk about it. The empath has always worked for the narcissist for free. Whether you're in a relationship, whether it's politically, whether it's in corporate America, whether it's by race. And now, no more. Now you're moving into your prowess. Okay? Now you get to work for you. Empaths work for you. And when you work for you, you will find, because it's in your DNA to collaborate, coordinate, cooperate, join, and connect, you will bring your gifts to the collective. Because it's in your DNA. Okay. Empaths, I call you. It's time to receive what you give. Okay? Part of the narcissist empath relationship is that you just gave supply until you got depleted. Okay? you got sick. You had no money left. You had no body left. You had no creativity left. No, not anymore. So first, empaths, self-care, use your tools, and start learning your technology, because we have it. We have it. We have so much technology as empaths, okay? And it's here. It's here. It's in us, okay? So it's time for it to start flowing, for you to get what you give, get what you give. So I'm going to invite you to be thinking of a word, and the word is equality. Equality. Equal relationships, equal work environments, equal abundance. Okay, as we move into New Earth empaths, I want to invite you to the word equality. Okay? So by living into your gifts as an empath, you will give to the world. So empaths, I am calling you. And in my world, I have warrior empaths, not because we fight or destroy, because we're powerful and fierce and ferocious, right? Which is why we contribute so much to our work environments, to our family environments, to our relationships. But we've sort of discovered that we've been putting it in places that drain us. So now we're going to work for ourselves. We're going to figure out ourselves. We're going to become just super into our prowess and our gifts, and we're going to start moving it into areas just in our homes, beginning with ourselves, our homes, the collective, the planet. It'll happen naturally because we have all of those gifts. We love collaboration. We love partnering. We love teamwork. That's what empaths do. Okay? We love feeling a room. Okay, my battery's running out. So I'm almost meeting the hour. So I will be working a ton on really working with empathic nature. I will be working a ton. Dynamic meditation, I sometimes combine my clinical work and dynamic meditation, but I need to make it very clear that dynamic meditation is really about energy and spirituality and so my experience as who I am personally and professionally, as a teacher, as a psychotherapist, as a human in this world, is sort of, I really see myself moving the world, but also just people from trauma to greatness, right? We declutter a ton of trauma, and I love partner people into like just their greatness. So like this movement from icky, gooey, messy, painful, dark trauma. I'm not afraid to go there. Not afraid. Right? Decluttering, coming up, emerging into greatness. I really love that. I love it for myself, and I love helping others do the same. So I see my 2021 as a continuation of that. I really see that as my work. Listen, I've been going on for almost an hour, but this was I really wanted to share this with you. So, let me know. Let me know where you'd like to work, how you'd like to work, what you're thinking, what you're feeling. I really see myself also as like translating all that's happening and putting it into simpler terms, or helping give the overview. So this video was all about that, was all about the overview of 2020. And I'm sure details were left out, but I don't want to go past the hour. Thank you. Thank you for being a part of this, for doing this with me, for giving me energetic equality, which is really important for me to receive you while I also give to you. Okay, so yeah, let's welcome in 2021 for sure. Let's welcome it in, but not without our tools and not without each other. Okay, hand over my heart, mind, body, spirit.